Hi everyone, it's Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9 Leaked Spoiler live broadcast. We did a quick stream a little bit earlier, so you can see it up on the screen. No excuses. We are going to talk about Season 9, Episode 1, a little bit of Episode 2. Just a shout out, I do want to clarify some of these spoilers. As first reported by Spoiling Dead's fan page, confirmed by other multiple sources. So just want to say that we don't release this until several people have chimed in. So you're good to go with this. It's not a prediction, not a speculation. We've got some validation behind this, and it is way, way early in the year. I mean, we know the filming's been going on, but usually this stuff doesn't really start to creep through until July, August time frame, but it is coming through early, hot, heavy, and we got some stuff to talk about tonight. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm seeing some faces we haven't seen in a little while. A lot of shout-outs. Do want to apologize to Valar because I know we were hyping up the Game of Thrones stream tonight, but we got so much Walking Dead stuff to talk about, and we got a little bit of time on Game of Thrones, but trust me, before Game of Thrones is back in full effect, we will be talking about that like we talk about this show. So thank you so much. Let's get right into it and talk about the spoilers that are out there. It's going to be a little bit difficult. I wanted to tell you guys a lot of stuff last night because we were talking about something that I feel we're pretty comfortable. We're down the right track with Rick. And tonight with Maggie, it's going to shine a little bit more light on Rick's decision. And, you know, just a shout out to Steph the Cuervo Queen. The thought was going through my mind all day long about ELO. So there you go, Steph. There's an ELO shout out. It was just evil woman. So you know that Maggie is turning. I don't know any other way to play it. I know there's some. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it makes anybody anti Maggie. Just because Maggie's evil does not mean she's a bad person or that you can't like her. You can like evil characters, right? A lot of people like Negan. So Maggie's along those lines. And I know some people, the first sign of denial is going to be, no, Maggie's got it right. You know, she is upset. She was going through all this stuff. You know, she's a widow. All of these things, right? But you're going to see, maybe she's validated, maybe there's good rationale for the things she's doing, but she still is going to get evil. Trust me on this. You're going to see more and more of what she does is going to take her down a dark path. Many people have went down that path. Rick has went down that path. Daryl executing the people last season. So we've seen it. It's turning people into something a little bit different. And ultimately, Jason, Maggie and Rick, we know that they're both potentially exiting the show. So how that's going to relate to the storyline. So let me talk about some of the Maggie spoilers and what is going to go on with Maggie, and then just a couple other tidbits that are out there. So in episode number 1 is when the drama is really going to start. That is where Gregory, who, you know, what do we think about Gregory at this point? He's slimy, he's deceitful, but he weasels his way out of things, you know, to a point where he's almost like a big child. And you can see people just wanting to, I guess not wanting to, but feeling obligated just to let him live and let him live and let him live. Gregory crossed the line this time. Gregory crosses the line. So because he's a lot like Spencer. He's just sneaky, and he wants people to do his dirty work for him. So Gregory is going to manipulate Earl. Earl is the blacksmith up at the hilltop. Earl's an alcoholic, so he's going to get him drunk. So Earl is going to make a very bad decision. Earl's son was killed during a run. So I think it's a couple things that are happening. Is one, Gregory can get Earl drunk, and he can also talk about his son and how Maggie or Margaret or Melinda or, you know, whatever he wants to call her is really the person at the top. And then he's going to throw in some stuff about how safe it was when he was the leader, and now it's just reckless abandon. And you know how Gregory does things. So he does convince Earl to attack Maggie and Enid. You know, Enid's kind of Maggie's protector. Enid is injured. The word that we're hearing is wheelchair injured, but not permanent. So I'm getting ready to go into another thought, and I saw actually there was a TV show. My name's Earl, so that's what kind of name it is. Valar coming through with a super chat saying hello, Kills, Steph, Kills, Emmy, Bree, Sweet Tom, sponsors, Patreons, and super chatters. So thank you so much. Appreciate you being here and your contribution, and just a nice shout out for Valar. And I did make the brief apology. I know Valar was really looking forward. That's my resident expert on Game of Thrones, just so you guys know. But we will ramp up Game of Thrones. Trust me, we've got plenty of time. All right, so back to the situation with Enid being in a wheelchair. She'll heal. But Maggie is going to find the truth. So this is based on the time of it. It's a lot to happen in one episode. So what I'm hearing is the vengeance for Gregory will take place in episode number 2. So the attack, all of the consequence of Gregory's attack, Maggie will find out. Some people are going to come forward. And then Maggie's going to plan the execution. Gregory will be hanged in episode number 2. Gone. So back to a little bit of what I was talking about with Gregory. He always seems to beg and plead and cry and convince people to keep him around. No more convincing, execution style. So we can see that there are rules. Now this does not make Maggie evil. So and this is where I know a lot of people are going to say Maggie has rationale for doing the things she does. She's absolutely in charge, and she absolutely has the right to execute someone who tried to have her killed. No doubt about that. I don't have any problem with that. But you are going to see that darkness start to transform to where it goes from her shooting, killing, making those decisions to starting to cross that line. And we saw a little bit of it in the season finale. We saw her talking about Hilltop and preparing Hilltop for the next time. Well, that's really what this is about, and this is what I want to spend the majority of the time talking about. So, moving on to episode number 2, the Maggie Rift with Rick. So, the execution will take place, but the big thing that is going to go down is Michonne wants to reach out and have a discussion with Maggie and Jesus. You know, at this point, Jesus is kind of like the right-hand man. He's like Negan's ex Simon. So this is done without Rick. And Michonne is very perceptive. So why Michonne goes to this visit to have a conversation, she notices a whole lot of supplies. Now, Alexandria's rebuilding. They're getting by. The groups are rebuilding the sanctuary. A lot of good people still in the sanctuary. We saw at the end, Rosita drove over and, is willing to give a hand. So they're trying to rebuild communities. Well, that's not what Maggie is doing. Maggie is hoarding supplies. And the people at the sanctuary and some of the people in Alexandria, they're in some bad shape. But the Hilltop, living like kings. Michonne notices this. So there's some unintended consequences that it's happening to other groups. But Maggie's goal is not to do anything for the sanctuary and to starve the sanctuary out. Now, this isn't just about Negan any longer. This is where she's starting to put the Hilltop people ahead of her own people. Cat Smith, we're going to ask you to take a seat for a little bit. So if you listen to the stream and you see warning spoilers and you know anything about our channel, and I tell you it's confirmed, it's confirmed. So if you actually were on our channel and you say, are you just making this stuff up? We do predictions, we do theories, and we do spoilers. So it's right there in big yellow letters. Now, at the end of your timeout, then you can participate and you can ask questions that are not obvious questions that we've already discussed multiple times. All right, moving on. That was direct. You know what? Sometimes you got to be direct. All right. So Maggie, the rift is starting. And we all know that Rick's confidant, Rick's trust is with Michonne. So when Michonne observes it and Michonne goes back and gives Rick that feedback, I'm going to throw it out to the group right now. This is where I'm going to ask for your participation. Remember the prediction that we talked about with Rick leaving the show. And this is why I didn't want to get into it too much last night. So, when Michonne goes back and explains the situation to Rick, it does sound like a war is coming. So you've got two different paths that you can choose at this point. You've got, is there going to be a showdown between Rick and Michonne and Jesus, Maggie, and Daryl? They just went through war. So do they want to go back through a civil war? I don't think so. I think all of what Rick was doing was fighting to have that not happen. But Maggie is preparing for a war. Rick is preparing and repairing. Big, big difference. The sanctuary is repairing as well. They have no reason to not trust the hilltop. They think that everybody's in this together. Which is why I think it lends, now this is not a spoiler because this goes back to our prediction, and we will get spoilers for that a little bit later on about how long Rick's going to be there. So I think it ties in really well with Rick having enough. Rick taking Judy, Rick taking Michonne, and leaving someone else in charge. So, I'm going to throw it out there. I'll read a couple comments as I just stated. One thing, couple hundred people in here. Some of you are new. If you're new to the channel, just a quick 999 because we want to give a shout out to you and say thank you for being here. Hopefully you'll subscribe. You'll get involved in our chats. We do different types of live streams. Very interactive. And also, if you guys could all slap that like button as well. And when the video goes live, make sure you talk about it, share it with some people, and come back and join us a little bit. So the moderators, everybody that's in here, you guys just help acknowledge some of the new people that are walking in here. Because, as you know, as we get closer and closer to Walking Dead season, there's going to be a lot of people. It's their first or second time in a stream, and we want to make those people feel as comfortable as possible. That's what we're all about. Really, really tight-knit group. So your thoughts, your opinion. All the stuff that you guys are typing will be a part of this video. So it is, it's permanent. And then I will call on a few people. And Sin Miller, you've been here since I've been here. So thank you so much. Patrick Talks. I see Christina Good. A lot of people here. So thank you so much. Christina Good says 999 here. So glad I joined. Love the interaction. Love the chat. All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Ricky Vaughn, thank you so much. And we'll get a few more shout-outs a little bit later on. So, I think it's an interesting storyline. And with Lauren potentially leaving, we don't know. We know she signed for 8 episodes. We don't know if they could definitely extend that. So, there's not confirmation she's done. And it's just putting a contract in front, working things out. We know she's on another show. All those things could take place. And as we get that information, we're going to do it live. We're going to talk about it as well. So we'll definitely get the whole crowd, the whole crew involved. So with Maggie preparing for war, with Maggie having the upper hand, with Maggie taking the resources, does Rick engage in battle with Maggie, or does Rick end up long-term walking away? And I do think that Shane flashback does feed into Rick walking away. I'm thinking pirate, time skip, let him leave for 2 seasons, and then come back to save the day. That is not the spoiler. That is a kill shot prediction. That's been something I've been talking about for 3 months. It either happens or it doesn't happen. But I do think the more we find out, it makes me feel that it's going more in that direction. To leave the door open for Andrew to take a break and then to come back. You know what? Dawn of the Frank, I could not have said it better. Rick doesn't want to kill another friend. And even if Maggie is incensed, and even if Maggie disagrees, and even if Maggie wants to kill Rick, Rick doesn't want to do it. There's no way. Rick will walk away before he sees it happen again. It doesn't mean he's not going to be pissed. It does not mean that he's not going to be evaluating potential actions, because what Maggie is doing and what Maggie is breeding is counterproductive to what Rick is doing. So let's get away from the Civil War for a second. And the Civil War right now is already happening. The Civil War is Rick's will versus Maggie's will. It's a battle of wills at this point. And I don't think it'll ever get to a fight. I think it's going to be who establishes the future way of life. Is it going to be Rick opening up to a bunch of other communities and wanting peace, or is it going to be Maggie taking care of her group? Now, you had Negan, who was the third. So you had, if Negan were still there, you'd have 3 distinct different styles. You'd have Negan, which is divide and conquer. Go out, take a little bit. Yeah, I'll help you, but you're giving us something payback. You've got Rick, who wants to extend the olive branch to everybody now and just make peace with everybody, and there's consequences to that. And you got Maggie, who now says, no, we don't need to trust these other people. We need to take care of our own. So I'm going to ask the group another follow-up question. Once again, if you guys are new to the channel, all this stuff that's being typed along the side, we want your comments included in the video. We want you to participate. So if you had to pick one of those 3 leadership styles, and let's put Negan back in play. Negan style, because the Sanctuary is missing Negan at this point. They don't have the direction. Rick's trying to get them to fit in. Maggie is trying to isolate them. So they're on an island out there. So Negan style, divide, conquer, take whatever you want. Rick style, olive branch, which could backfire from time to time. Or Maggie style, take care of your own. So I want to see what a few comments here. Nether Fox says, I like the Ricktatorship. Chosen One says Rick style. Got to build new communities. Got to go out and look for new people. Mambo says Rick style. Ellis says Rick style. A lot of people are saying should be Rick's way. And that's where you get a little bit of that darkness with Maggie, that selfishness. Not going to trust again because look at where it's gotten us. Could you see Maggie? I'm gonna throw this out there. This is not a spoiler, but it is something that I feel very, very strongly about. Epic, I'm gonna ask that in 1 second. I'll get to you in 1 second. This is not a spoiler, but could you see a scene where Maggie does actually go back and blame Rick for Glenn? Blames Rick for not protecting more people? I know in the comic there was that brief moment, right, where she slapped Rick and she was frustrated. So they skipped over all of that. And she accepted it was okay. But could you see now that Maggie is starting to see that Rick's way is not the way she should have done it? And could you imagine how much that would break Rick down? Would that be the question I have for you ultimately is, could that be the breaking point with Rick, where this person that he's trusted and been around for so long, verbally, all she'd have to do was just the words come out of her mouth? I think that would destroy Rick. I think that would he'd be done. Right now, I think he's living on fumes. All right. I see some really good comments here. I can't call on all the comments because I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit Epic Vids Super Chat. Some of the new people in the streams, too. You can sponsor a YouTube channel. We have Patreon sites. But one thing that a lot of our viewers do is they do Super Chats. And what it does is it highlights their comment. And anytime someone does a Super Chat, we will stop what we're talking about and we will get back and highlight, and I'm going to change the topic to what they want to talk about, as long as it's decent and respectable. I mean, you guys know the Super Chat rules. But we do have a lot of people participate in that, so I'm going to give Epic Vids a little bit of respect here. And this is going to be our Super Chat spotlight right now. So if you guys could help me answer this question for Epic Vids. Kills, do you think Maggie possibly could kill Rick, then Maggie's executed, and the second half brings Whispers, which brings them together? So I have seen this discussed, that Maggie could kill Rick in a couple different capacities. I've seen a mistake trying to kill Negan. Rick takes a bullet for Negan, or she loses it. So the question I have for all of you, with your head, not your heart, because your heart is going to automatically tell you, no, there's no way Maggie's going to kill Rick. They've been through too much. Don't think with your heart. Think about all the things that are transpiring and the things that we just spoiled that we know. Could Maggie make a play to kill Rick? Christina Good says, yes, I could see her doing that, and maybe that's what brings this full force. It's a good comment. Catnat says, that's the end of the series event. So that would be the closure. I would think there would need to be, if it went down like that, a complete reboot. Stefanella says, unfortunately, yes. E. Beach, accidentally to public secret plot. Deborah Mooney says yes. Elisa James, no. Villar says, I can see that. Melinda Kettler, nope, not going to happen. Ron Burgundy, yes, but accidentally. Miss True, absolutely. Her head is in a weird headspace. She is. She's very protective of that group, which is what's strange about it, because Rick saving Negan definitely struck a chord with her, and she's willing to separate the groups at this point. She said as much, and now she's clearly demonstrated over the last year. Some really good comments, really good comments. 1189 Paris says, I think if they decide to have Rick leave, he will kill Maggie and leave the communities. I am going to say there is zero chance. See, here's the thing that I want to bring up to everybody, and this is why I've been saving this, and this is for you, Epic Vids, and a few other people. I do not feel that any of these disagreements will escalate to a level where Maggie kills Judith's new father, or Rick kills baby Herschel or baby Glenn, whatever we're going to call him, mother. I don't see any scenario where either one of them would leave their children without the parent. I just don't see that happening. Which is why it feels better for me and makes more sense to me. And as we're getting these spoilers, I like to take these spoilers and say, does it build into my theory that Rick is going to leave? And I want to support that on a lot of fronts. It's not because I just talked about it a couple months ago. It's because in my mind, that's what made sense. Is you've got Andrew Lincoln is such a star that you don't want to burn those bridges. So open up the possibility for the Walking Dead universe is a mostly Rick Grimes-driven universe. And to kill that hope hurts the story. I mean, that is the reality. Gimple knows that. Kirkman knows that. AMC knows that. Everybody knows that. So you don't need to do that until you're ready for the show to end. That's just common sense. But it doesn't mean that Andrew Lincoln doesn't want to do some other things for a couple seasons. That's why that is the only play that they can make at this point. Is Rick finding a way to leave. And when you add the dynamics of Maggie's a mother, Rick's a father, do they kill each other? Even do they accidentally kill each other? No, Judith cannot be passed to Michonne. Judith cannot be passed to someone else. Rick has already lost Carl. The family is already torn. Maggie's already lost her family. What are you going to have left if Maggie dies in this situation? And Drama King, I don't even know if I'm going to add another step to it. I don't know that Lauren is going to leave the show. It's still up for grabs. I would say there's going to be some disagreements and they come back full circle. But here's the question. If Maggie dies, who would be the most logical person to take care of Maggie's baby? Look, let's say there's no disagreement at this point. No, not Enid. You guys are killing me. No, I'm going to disagree with everybody. I'm going to say it's Rick. There's a whole lot of other names out there. Jesus, Aaron. If they're not at odds, and this whole Negan thing is not going on, the one person that would be the most qualified to take care of Maggie's baby if Maggie were to die would be Rick. Which could add a whole extra wrinkle into it, right? Hold on. Let's not get too far into the war yet. Let's not get too far into that they're going to fight and kill each other. You got to erase that. Why would it not be conceivable for if Maggie were going to leave the show? And here we go. Remember last year we talked about the Whisperers? And people said, oh, there's no way AMC is going to kill a pregnant woman. Well, you know what? You don't have that problem anymore. Because after the time skip, Whisperers wouldn't be killing a pregnant woman. This is not part of the spoiler. This is something we're going to talk about in future episodes. Maggie and Rick disagree. They're going down the wrong path. If they do not re-sign Lauren for the second half, I think it's very conceivable that Maggie could be the one to have her head on a stake, and Rick could not only leave with Michonne and Judith, he could also leave and take care of baby Herschel for safety, to get away from whatever is out there. Now, there could be something else. And I know that's a big, big what if. I'm just throwing another scenario out there. And we'll know a little bit more about that as we move further along. The other thing it would do is it'd make it a hell of a lot easier to cut down on some of the children running around on the set. What better way to stop? And I understand kids are the future, but it'd be nice if they could just kind of, because it's a story that we don't always need to see. Sometimes you could say, okay, let Rick take off and then come back in a couple years when, Judith's about 8 and baby Herschel's old enough, whatever. Maybe a time skip. Open the door. Leave that as a possibility. All right. I'm going to get back to the spoilers because there is some additional stuff that I do want to talk about. We're going back and forth today. You're going to have to listen to this whole stream. So if you're just checking in midway through, we're trying to take the spoilers and make it make sense with some of the predictions. Gracie too. Although I think Jesus and Aaron are going to raise baby Grace. All right, so here it is. I do have to talk about relationships. So as the world has gotten more normal and there's not a lot of fighting going on, yours truly made the prediction. Oh, hold on now. Hold the phone. I'm going to get back to that in 1 second because I am contractually obligated to stop what I'm doing and move right to the Super Chat. So Jason, the Mixologist Daily, who is also one of the sponsors of the channel, says, I think where the serious divide between Maggie and Rick is now, Maggie executed Gregory. Rick is going to feel some type of way that Maggie didn't consult with Rick or the group. Thoughts? There you go. There's rift number 2, Jason. So let's analyze this for a second. So you've got Maggie doing an execution, public execution, without Rick. And you've got Maggie hoarding supplies and preparing for the next thing without consulting with Rick. So you got 2 logs on the fire. I think that is a very good observation. And I think there's going to be more, Jason. I think there's going to be a few of these more little story subplots, nuances that happen that are going to show that Rick and Maggie, their relationship is strained, but not broken. I don't think that AMC dares break that. But I do appreciate that thought because I do think that we're going to see more and more elements. And if you guys can think of some additional elements that you're going to... that we've already seen. The Negan thing is a big deal. The fact that Maggie may start to feel a little bit of that regret for trusting Rick. Several of those things I think are going to be, it's going to get this fire out of control. All right, next Super Chat is Epic Vids. Epic Vids says, I feel like if Andrew wants to leave, he will want to have a definitive conclusion, not open to come back. I feel he will for sure be killed off. I disagree, but it's open for interpretation. And I think that's kind of where you're at right now, Epic. I'm trying not to think with my heart that I want Andrew to be there or it to always run around Rick Grimes. But I know if I were negotiating this and I know the long-term impact of him not being on the show, and let me say this because I'm always very careful to I'm one of the non-bashers of The Walking Dead. There are other people out there that'll bash it one week and then they love it the next week. And I'm not going to flip-flop. But I'm also going to give you guys a hard dose of reality. Rick leaving the show hurts the show. Doesn't mean I won't watch it. there's no way to disguise that. And Epic, the problem that I have with that is, if Rick wants a definitive conclusion, you can give him that. But I also think, and I'm going to put myself in Scott Gimple's role, I want to drag that out until the very last season. So you can still give him that definitive conclusion, but you have him come back and let him walk away or let him die for everybody else's, the sanctity of saving the group. So I do think both things can be accomplished. But if you kill Rick this season, you're going to lose part of your audience next season. A lot of people are there for Rick. So if you give me a Rick storyline that I can kind of be iced for a little bit and then I can watch the show knowing that he's around the corner, then I'm there. It doesn't mean, look, they're bringing John Bernthal back, so they can bring Shane back. Andrew leaving does not mean they can't bring him back for 2 episodes or 3 episodes or bring him back in 2 years. And to me, that's the way it's going to play out. I don't think Andrew needs that conclusion today. I think he also understands he is the Walking Dead franchise. And as most people will say, it started with Rick, it's ending with Rick. How many people in this stream, and I'm not saying this just to disagree with Epic, because Epic and I have some really good debates back and forth. But I'm going to kind of put that on the spot because I feel like I'm kind of onto something here. So how many people in this stream, I'm not asking if you're going to leave if Rick's not on the show. I don't want to know that because I'm not. I'm going to watch. But how many people feel Rick was the beginning of Walking Dead and Rick will be the end of The Walking Dead in one capacity or another? Most. And I'm going to go back because Jason said that I forgot a super chat, and I actually didn't, Jason. Your point in your super chat, that's exactly what I was talking about, is additional, the rift being further between Rick and Maggie. The execution of Gregory, and Rick is going to feel that Maggie didn't consult with Rick or the group. So Jason must have stepped away after he did a super chat. No, what I was saying with your super chat is that in addition to the fact that she's holding resources, in addition to the fact that he saved Negan, is what creates more of that psychological barrier between the two. So I agree with you. I agree with you, and I agree with your super chat as well. Walter White says, dude, Rick is dying. We have to accept it. Walter, there's no reason why Rick can't die in 2 years. Once again, I'm going to go back to Walter White. I'll kind of ask you the question. I'll ask anybody in here, 200, 250 people in this room. If you are Scott Gimple, if you have a Walking Dead franchise, and Andrew Lincoln's not walking up to you saying, kill me, kill me, kill me, kill my character. He's saying, I need some time off. They don't kill him. I'm going to put the gauntlet down right now to anybody that wants to challenge that. Rick is worth... Hold on. Let me put a number. Let me put a number on this for you guys. There can be analysts out there. Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes. Actually, let's not even say Andrew Lincoln. Rick Grimes is worth $1 billion to The Walking Dead. Easily worth $1 billion. Andrew Lincoln is not worth $1 billion. Andrew Lincoln is a damn good Rick Grimes. And a recast is not something that I would necessarily want to see. But if you let Rick walk away and you bring him back in 2 years and you recast him for an episode or two and kill him at the end of the show, I'm fine with that. If you let Andrew Lincoln leave for a year or two and bring Andrew Lincoln back and pay him, I don't know, $10 million, do 3 episodes, I'm fine with that. Rick Grimes to The Walking Dead is worth over $1 billion. He is the central character in the comic book. He sells action figures. He has people going to Comic-Cons dressed as him. The outfits, the list goes on and on and on. Not to mention, he is the glue to the rest of the group. So, if any of you are here, what are you going to do to leave that door open? So, let me go back, Walter White, to your point. You have all the cards. If you're Scott Gimple, Rick Grimes does not have the cards. You have the cards. You can kill him. You can save him. You can let him walk away. You can put him in a Superman cape and teach him to fly around and save the universe. You can do whatever you want to do. If you have someone that means $1 billion to your franchise, you don't kill him. You don't kill him because you know you're going to lose 5 million viewers watching. You're going to lose 20% of your audience. Guaranteed you're going to lose 20% of your audience. Why would you? Just so you can say, we killed Rick Grimes 2 seasons before the show finally ended? No, you don't do that. I'm telling you, if there's something to think about, to put some deep thought into that, just don't do it. Have him walk away as a writer, as a executive producer, as the person that owns the creative content. Let him walk away. Bring him back when you're ready to kill him. I think it'd be an unbelievable mistake. James, I don't know the show needs a reboot. I think the show is going to end at some point. Give it 3 years. Maybe it lasts longer, but 3 years would be a heck of a successful show. You're talking season 12. You give it 3 years. Let Rick be on set for most of this season. Leave the door open. Next season, we'll have to adapt a little bit and then bring him back. Hype it up. Big, big moneymaker. I think, there's two big elements. And it's the story. They don't want to kill the story. The story is amazing. But there's the money aspect of it. So you can't make it so cheesy and water it down for the next 5 years if the story's not going to happen. But if the natural cycle of the story accomplishes both, you try to accomplish both. So Epic says Rick's absence from the show would overshadow what's happening on the show. Show's story's been very reliant on Rick. It would overshadow, but it wouldn't kill him. It wouldn't kill the character. Death is final. When Rick is dead, he's dead. So certainly it would overshadow, but imagine, Epic, the disappointment if Rick left the show and it was a cliffhanger and we didn't know what was going to happen. How anxious we would be when Rick came back. I'll give you an example. It's human nature. If you just want to take YouTubers, for example, how many people, please don't name them, because I know most of you love 999 Army and are here and are very loyal. However, I do know that there are a few people here that do watch other channels. It's your right. I'd love for you to at least make all the streams here. But there are other people out there who do have channels who will say, the show's dead, the show's dead, the show's dead, and then something good happens, and they're right back doing it again. They're like, oh, see what happened? The show's going to be great. Season 9 is going to be the best season ever. So it's human nature. We are the same way. If Rick leaves, we're going to be confused, and we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be streaming about it. We're going to be analyzing, like, when's Andrew coming back? Is he doing a movie? We're going to be watching him on Twitter. We're going to be like, oh, maybe he's coming back next season. When's he coming back? We know he's coming back. What's going on in the show? But we can watch those things simultaneously to see when it merges back together. I could give Andrew a 2-year vacation and bring him back as a writer, and the crowd would go wild. And if you can do that, and Scott Gimple can do that, why not? Why not do it? We don't need an epic Rick death this season. That's not going to make me want to watch 2 more years of The Walking Dead. I'll still watch 2 more years of The Walking Dead, but it's not going to make me want to know the story more because Rick is dead. And as a storyteller, you got to take that into account. All right, another super chat we have here is Sergeant Chosen One of the 999 Army. We got official ranks as well. So Chosen One says, Rick returns in season 11 to help win the Whisperer War, but goes out fighting. You know what? Let's super chat spotlight that. So Chosen One, we're pretty much aligned with that. How many people? Doesn't have to be 11. Could be 10.5. Could be 12, but whatever. Let me ask the question of the group. Viable? Feasible? You think that Rick could leave and then come back when the group really needs him most and possibly die? Dawn of the Frank says, love that theory. Jessica Woodman says 100%. Walking Dead nerd, definitely. Mercedes for it. Mambo, yep. 85-90% of your viewing audience would be down for something like that. I don't think Walking Dead wants to isolate their viewing audience. I'm not saying that we're controlling the narrative at this point. I just don't see a reboot with The Walking Dead. I think there's too much good going on. Bump up Daryl's salary. Let Daryl take control. There's good storylines that can happen for a season. Rick is the end of The Walking Dead. In some capacity. If you kill Rick this season, I don't know what they're going to do for a year and a half. And you don't have to. Great debate, though. I mean, we break this down, we analyze it. This is not a rant. Someone said a little bit earlier, Kills is a rant. It was a borderline. I just get super excited when there's a potential story or a potential changing or a shift. It's not Fear the Walking Dead. It's not. There's a big difference. They went in a totally different direction. There are so many characters that I love about The Walking Dead. But I do agree with a lot of viewers that says it's Rick's story. And they do branch off and they do get you involved in other people. And they are a part of that story. But I just feel like Rick is he's going to be the one to end it for the group. Rick has to be the hero of The Walking Dead. Tommy says, if Rick dies, I riot. That's funny. Fluff says, no, I've heard you rant. This wasn't even close to a rant. Chris Rainig, Fear. Chris says Fear was good this season. I think Fear was amazing. I may be alone in that. But I think Fear this season was better than The Walking Dead last season. Not everybody shares that sentiment, but I enjoyed it because it was different. Lamar says, Rick leaves the show lives. Rick dies, the show dies. I think it would be extremely, and look, I won't put this past Scott Gimple, but I think it would be extremely arrogant for them to think that they could kill Rick Grimes and the show do well or continue for a long period of time. All right. Epic Vids with a serious question. So this is, do you think no matter what they do with Rick or the show, that the show is fizzling out and will end soon? I'm going to give you my completely honest opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with that. It's not, I don't try to always just force my opinions down everybody else's throat, but I'm going to give you serious question, serious answer. I think the show has about 3 more seasons. I would love to be wrong. And I think if the show does have 3 more seasons, that they already can see an end in sight. And they know how the show will end. So, is the show fizzling out? No. It's a $1 billion franchise. Are there less people watching it now than did before? Yes. But I think most shows on television would love to have the amount of viewers that The Walking Dead has. They would love to have a talk show dedicated to The Walking Dead. They would love to have streamers talking about the show, people on YouTube that just, we can't get enough of it because we want to analyze it. They would love to have products that they're selling. They would love to have people going crazy to see their teasers at Comic-Con and how popular their panels are and how hard it is to get tickets for their panels. So I don't want to paint it as if The Walking Dead has a slow bleed out that they're dying, because I don't think they're dying. I think there's more people watching shows that are either being streamed, that they're not watching it during prime time, that they're working around it. They're looking at different alternatives. They're watching some of it on the internet, legally or illegally. There's a lot of different reasons for ratings. There are some people that don't like the story and have left the show. But when you're still talking about the audience is dedicated to the show, my serious answer to the question, Epic, is no. It's not fizzling out. And yes, they're doing very well. And you know, they gave Norman $30 million. They're not bankrupt. They do have a budget. Advertisers are paying a lot of money to watch this. This whole stigma out there that they don't have money blows my mind. They absolutely have a ton of money. Doesn't mean that they're going to pay everybody on the show $1 million an episode because they have a lot of actors on the show. When you have a show like Friends that you can pay people $1 million an episode, that's fine when you have like 5 or 6 people. But when you have literally 30 people that are involved in the show at one point or another, not everybody's going to make $500,000, $600,000 an episode. So that's my serious answer to the question. Now, from a story standpoint, how much story do they have left? I think they have 3 good years of story, and I could see the shows merge together. I could see some different things happen at some point, but I still think Rick Grimes is going to be the ending to The Walking Dead. James Palette says AMC does not invest enough into the show. James, the problem with that statement is it's speculative, or it's regurgitated from another source. And it's not just to criticize your statement. Show me their budget. Because if you can't show me what they spend and show me how much they make, and when people make comments like that, and you're not the first person to make it, there's people that are streaming it. There's YouTubers that think they know. And I've yet to see one time somebody have a P&L statement and said, this is how much the salaries make, this is how much the set costs, this is how much they're paying on special effects, this is how much they're making off bobblehead revenue, this is how much they're doing this. Not one time has anybody giving me a valid set of numbers so I can make an assessment and say, James, I love Ronnie, but Ronnie's not an accountant and he doesn't work for AMC. So he has his opinion and I respect his opinion, but I have my opinion. And my opinion is I'm not going to say the show does not have enough money. If I don't, the only way I can say that is to look at it and say, give me facts. Don't give me speculation. The show is making a lot of money. They are spending a lot of money. It ain't cheap to put 100 people in plaster and walk around Atlanta in a Walker uniform. So they're spending money on that. So, I don't know. That's just something we say. I think all of us would love to have their money problem. And you know what? One of these streams, I might actually do a little deeper research and pull some numbers. I'm sure there are some estimates that are out there. I would love to do a financial Walking Dead stream and just say, hey, look, everybody, they spend $100 million a year on special effects. I'd love to have that data. And I'd love to be able to put it up against other franchises. Now, do they spend the money on special effects that Game of Thrones spends? No. I don't know, but I'm just using a little bit of common sense. I would say strongly no. But I don't know. I don't know what the difference is between another popular mainstream show versus The Walking Dead to see. I'd have to see numbers and break that down. Hold on. So I must have missed a DDA. Okay, here we go. DDA Ohio says, do you think AMC wants Rick dead because AMC wants full control of the label? They want to get rid of any characters in the comics so they don't have to pay from licensing. I don't. DDA, once again, I think that would be way too arrogant. Well, let me kind of just give you a stupid analogy. So, DDA, would you buy McDonald's if McDonald's was going to keep the Big Mac, the French fries, and the Chicken McNuggets? I wouldn't. Not just say, hey, I have McDonald's. Because if those are your three driving, maybe there's something, maybe I'm missing something. I'm just picking three. I'm not a strong eater of McDonald's. I appreciate the brand, but Big Mac, French fries, chicken nuggets. I don't think that AMC would want a franchise without wanting Rick Grimes in it in some capacity. It's unfortunate that Andrew Lincoln cannot be a part of that right now. That's a big problem to solve. Chris Rainick wants to know if I have to answer this, right? So, you know what? I'm going to make, just because I'm going to entertain Chris's super chat. So Chris says, did AMC ask me to do the Talking Dead? So no, AMC has not reached out to me. However, if AMC is watching, which they do watch videos with spoilers in them, trust me, because I've gotten information from them. If you guys would like for me to be in some capacity with AMC, just type it in comments right now. So maybe one of the executives will pick it up and we'll do the 99. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to open a can of worms we don't want. So yeah, maybe I shouldn't have asked that question. If I did it, you guys would all have to come along with me. How about that? It would be a partnership. That's the only way we're going to negotiate the contract. If AMC or Gimple reaches out to me and says, hey, Kills, you got a very fired up group. They love to break things down. They love to analyze stuff. We'd like for you to be the voice of The Walking Dead. I'm going to say, you know what? I'll do it on one condition. The Army's got to come with me. Can't be solo. I got this group that wherever I go, they go. So that's the only deal. That's the only way I'm signing a contract. All right, we got another super chat in the house. Epic Vid says, in episode 12 last season, they didn't show the Rick and Negan car crash. If they had the budget, they probably would have. They didn't show much of the battle in the finale. Is the budget being used? Epic, here's a question I would have. Are you sure that's a budgeting situation? And it wasn't a loose end that they couldn't tie, or it wasn't something that was added in at a different time, or something that was put in and then it was cut. I don't think a car crash is ridiculously expensive to do. We could research it. I don't know if Siri's going to know the answer. If anybody can look this up, let's get a ballpark figure. How much do you think a special effects car crash would cost to do in a TV show? Somebody just come up with a figure. I like that. Paul Eagle says would be in the background band. I like that. Okay. So, Epic, I'm going to answer that question. Ron Burgundy went Austin Powers. $1 million. No. None of these figures are even a budgeting question. So there's more to it. I'm not sure either, but let's just say it's between $50,000 and $100,000. You know, they're paying Andrew Lincoln $540,000 an episode, and I'm sure they could swing an extra $50,000 on a car crash scene. So I don't think that had anything to do with budgeting. I think there were some lapses, and it's like that every season though. There's not every question. They either go back and edit it, they try to go back and do stuff, but not every story is fluid. We want it to be, but not every TV show. Epic, here's the thing that I'm going to have for you, because I love Epic to death. We should just do a side stream, because I'm gonna debate like every super chat he does. Not every TV show is perfect, but not every TV show has this many people talking about it. Look at how many eyes are on this TV show every single week. All right, Talking Dead never picks it apart. They can't. They support it. But we do. We don't bash it. We don't walk away from it. Some people do. We pick it apart and analyze it, and we point it out and say, hey, look, we saw that, but we still love the show, and we move on. So when you have this many people, I mean, heck, just the 999 Army, we have videos that we've had 20, 30, 40. The Carl video we did, 160, 170,000 people watched and got involved in that Carl death prediction that we did. So it depends on what the flavor is. By the time this video finishes, 2,000 people will already had their idea, their concept included in this. We find things that normal people watching don't find, and then they come to our channels, and then we tell them about it, and then they realize it. And I'm not just saying that's me. I'm saying you guys are presenting that. There's a lot of things that I miss that you guys point out. So, yeah, I don't think it's a budgeting situation. I really don't. Jessica wants some chicken McNuggets from McDonald's now. I shouldn't have brought it up, right? I have that impact. We bring up food on here, and then people get hungry. Hang on, who was that? Someone says, in discussing The Walking Dead, Kills is not a comedian. That is true. My version of talk show would be much, much different. But it would be, one thing I can promise you, it would be very passionate. And this is one of our longer streams. So we have hit 1 hour. I was tentatively going to do a stream tomorrow night, but I'm going to go see Jurassic World. And maybe we'll talk about that a little bit on Sunday. So this will be, I may, you know what I'll do is stay tuned. You may see a Walking Dead clip video, which is one of the new 3 to 5 minute videos we're doing. So there will not be a 1 hour stream tomorrow night. There will not be one on Saturday. We will be back on Sunday. However, over the next couple days, it is very likely that you will see a Walking Dead live stream. If you happen to be online, jump in. We're doing 3 to 5 minute clips. They're a lot of fun. A few people, they don't know what time it is. Could be one later on tonight. Could be 3 a.m. Could be 5 a.m. Could be perfect for the people overseas that are watching, because we have just a very wide range of a viewing audience. Some people watch the playback, but stay tuned. Thank you, everybody. There are spoilers. We will discuss more spoilers as the next few days come about. Thank you for being involved in this entire video. I know it was started out with spoilers. We had some theories mixed in. We had a lot of your thoughts, a lot of good conversation. So those of you that are still here, and almost everybody that is here is still here, if you did not mention earlier that you're new to 999, give me a quick 999 because I want to give you a special shout out. I would, if you guys had a good time, do me a favor, slap that like button. That just, it's kind of a measurement tool. I feel like if enough people are here, enough people like it, that I did a good job and everybody here had a good time. And that's what we're all about. We got a lot of support for our channel. We're still in the middle of the summer. We are going to ramp up more and more. We do fear, a little bit of everything. So we do just some random streams as well. And we got the veterans here. But one thing that those of you that are new, at the end of almost every video, except for the real quick ones we do, I like to give some shout outs because whether we have an audience of 50 or we have an audience of 5,000, which we've had both, we always want to make sure that the reason that I'm here is because of all of you. So we have an audience, we will talk. And without all of you, nothing to talk about. So thank you, everybody. If you're watching the playback, this is the closing credits. If you're still here, give me a 999. I want to do some shout outs. And also, just as a favor, each one of you, once this video goes live, make sure you get over there, leave some comments. We've got our Facebook page, the 999 Army. Special shout out to all the sponsors. You can see up in the top right button, top right area there. Their name is highlighted in green. They also have a special sponsorship badge. Over to the left, we got patrons support the channel. Our moderators, Emmy, Steph, Tommy, Kels. Thanks to all of you. And, of course, the 999 Army in full effect. You can see it scrolling up and down the screen right now, so I get as many shout-outs as I possibly can. So I want to say what's up to Lisa, Ellis Roy, Golden Arms, Julia Drums, Drama King New York City, Mambo55, Miss True, Samantha Coombs, Tanya Dockstader, Dwayne Sharp, Jeremy Sloan, Deborah Mooney, Cammie, James. I see James Pallette. Thank you so much. Jamie Jordan of the 999 Army. Got you. Gina Crockett, the Walking Dead Nerd, Fluff Salisbury. Did I say your name? I think I said Salisbury. I was reading something else at the same time. Salisbury. You know what? I'm I'm from Atlanta. I can't say it the right way. It's just the only time we say it is like Salisbury steak, and I can't say it the way normal people say it. But you get the idea. Emmy Desiree, thank you for being here. Sergeant Chosen One, E Beach 72, Promageddon, Rublo's channel, Killing It Softly. I like that. A little remix version of it though. DDA Ohio, Stacy. I don't think I can say your name. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go slow here. Shoot, this is tough. Stacy. I've given up. How about we just go with Stacy P? Stacy P, and I'll practice your name offline so I don't say it the wrong way. Old man, you're 15. Special shout out to you. The Catnat, thank you. Epic Vids, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Appreciate the back and forth. I love it. Keep me focused. Chris Rainig, as soon as I get a call, my agent will let everybody know that I got the gig. Who else we got? Maggie B in the house. Howling Wolf, thank you. BK Harp. Backfire, 3851. Watch the playback, Backfire, 1189 Paris. B Loves 999 and The Walking Dead. Mind Flayer, Ron Burgundy. Psycho, thank you. I'm always going to miss some shout-outs. The Movie Addict. I will, on Sunday, I'll talk about Jurassic World. I won't do a spoiler stream, but I'll give you some honest feedback if you guys are still on the fence about whether you want to see it or you don't want to see it. I'm a fairly decent judge of character, I think, with movies. That could be a hint for some future streams that we're going to do. A little cryptic, I know, but just keep posted. Haiti Badoon, thanks for being here. Also, Kels is linking. If you guys are interested, if you happen to be out and about over the summer, you're out at the beach, you go to a concert, you go to a Walker Stalk or a Comic-Con, you want to rock a 999 Army shirt, check out the link. Kel says smile. We have those available. Pretty cool stuff. And Liz Burnett, thank you for welcoming all the new people. Maddie of the 999 Army, thank you so much, Maddie. And if I ever miss you in a shout-out, once again, you can see how many people are streaming. I try to get as many people as I can. Paul Eagle, a few people are lagging, so I don't get to everybody. It's never personal. Who else I saw? I saw Deborah Mooney a little bit ago as well, too. I think I missed a ton of people. But if I miss you this time, I'll get you in the next one. Linda Kettler, thank you so much. Or send me a message. I'm on Kick at KILZHOT. And say, hey, you forgot me, like the last 3 streams. And I'll write it down. If that happens, I'll actually write it down so I don't forget. All right, everybody. With that, I am signing out. Look for some video maybe tomorrow. Peace.